I don't know why I did it, but I just knew I had to be there for her big day. My sister was getting engaged, and although she hadn't invited me properly, just sent a quick message in the family group chat, I felt like I should still show up. Not for the attention, not for people to clap for me, but just because I loved her. She was my little sister, and no matter what had happened between us over the years, I still wanted to be there on her special day. The weather was horrible. The snowstorm had already started by the time I left in the early morning. I hadn't slept properly the night before, just 2 hours maybe, and hadn't eaten anything except a slice of bread and black coffee. But none of that mattered to me. I kept thinking about her face lighting up when she'd see me walk in, surprising her. That one moment of happiness on her face, that's all I wanted. I kept driving, holding the steering wheel tightly as snow kept hitting the windshield. The roads were slippery, trucks were getting stuck, and visibility was terrible. A part of me was scared, but another part kept pushing me forward. I had come too far to turn around now. 9 hours of driving through freezing winds and dangerous roads, but I didn't stop. What she didn't know, and what no one else knew, was that I had helped make that day special in more ways than one. Her dream dress? I paid for it. When she was stressing out last month over how expensive it was, I had quietly contacted the boutique and settled the bill. The cake she wanted from that fancy bakery downtown? I paid the deposit. Half the venue booking? I took care of it without saying a word. She had no idea. I told the vendors to keep my name off everything. I wasn't trying to be a hero. I just wanted to make her day perfect. I thought maybe, just maybe, if I kept doing good silently, one day she'd see how much I loved her. I didn't expect a thank you. I just wanted her to feel special, even if she never knew I had a hand in it. By the time I reached the venue, my whole body was stiff from the long drive. My fingers were numb and I could barely feel my toes inside my boots. The snow had stopped, but the cold was biting through my coat. I parked my car across the street and just sat there for a moment, staring at the building. Lights were glowing warmly through the windows, and I could already hear faint music and laughter coming from inside. I took a deep breath. My heart was pounding, not from fear but from the excitement of finally seeing her. I imagined her shocked face when I walked in. I even smiled to myself, thinking about how she'd probably scream, run toward me and hug me tightly. That image in my head gave me the energy to move again. I grabbed the small gift I had bought for her, not expensive, just something personal, and stepped into the building. The entrance was decorated beautifully. White and gold balloons, flower petals on the floor, soft music playing in the background. Felt magical. I looked around quickly, trying to spot her. I didn't want to interrupt anything big like speeches or ring exchanges, so I decided to quietly make my way closer to the main room. As I walked down the hallway, the warmth from inside finally started to reach my skin. My hands were still freezing and I was beyond exhausted, but inside me I felt proud. Proud that I had made it. Proud that I didn't let the weather or the distance stop me. All I wanted now was to see her happy. I followed the sound of music and laughter. The closer I got to the room, the clearer the voices became. I slowed my steps, smiling softly, ready for the moment we'd lock eyes. Just a few steps before reaching the door, I paused. I don't even know why. Maybe it was instinct, or maybe I just wanted to savor the moment before stepping in. That's when I heard her voice. Clear, cheerful, and completely unaware of how close I was. She was laughing louder than the others, surrounded by her friends. It made me smile for a second, until the next words left her mouth. Honestly, I thought she'd die in that snowstorm. That would have been perfect. The laughter that followed wasn't polite or confused. It was loud and real. Another voice, one of her friends I think, chimed in. She always makes things about herself. I stopped breathing. Just like that, the warmth in the hallway vanished. My stomach dropped and my body went cold again, not from the snow outside but from the ice forming inside me. I blinked, wondering if I heard her wrong. Maybe they were talking about someone else. Maybe this was some weird joke. But no. They were talking about me. I hadn't even entered the room, and yet I felt like I'd been pushed out of something deeper. Something I had never even realized I wasn't truly part of. I stood there, frozen, trying to understand what I had just heard. My own sister, the one I had just risked my life to surprise, the one whose special day I had secretly paid for, had wished death upon me. Not even quietly, not even in anger. Casually, like it would have made things easier for her. And her friends laughed. My hands began to shake. My mind went blank, and then it filled with 1,000 memories at once. Me helping her sneak out to meet her first crush when we were teens, me defending her in front of our strict parents, me staying up all night with her when she had a bad breakup, me sending money last year when she couldn't make rent. I had always been there. Always. And she wanted me dead? I didn't cry. Not then. I didn't storm in. I didn't say a word. I just took a small step back, then another, until I was far enough away from the door that no one would see me. My hand still held the gift I brought her, but my grip had loosened. I looked at it for a second, then tucked it back inside my bag. I quietly turned around, walked back down the hallway I had just come from, each step heavier than the last. The music and laughter grew faint behind me, but her words kept repeating in my head louder than anything else. I stepped out into the cold again, but this time I didn't feel anything. Not the snow crunching beneath my boots, not the wind biting at my skin, not even the ache in my legs from all the driving. I was numb. Completely numb. My breath came out in short, shaky puffs as I crossed the road back to my car, and I didn't even realize I was crying until I felt the tears turn icy on my cheeks. The kind of cold that hurts, but not nearly as much as what I felt inside. I unlocked the door and sat in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel with both hands, trying to calm myself. But I couldn't. I just sat there. No music. No sound. Just the low hum of the car's heater and the storm whispering around me. I stared out at nothing, my eyes unfocused, while my thoughts played the same scene again and again. Her voice, her laughter, her wish that I had died. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. My body was still, but my heart was in chaos. I went back through every memory we'd shared, every sacrifice I made, every little and big thing I had done for her without ever asking for anything in return. All those moments came flooding in like a cruel joke. I remembered the birthday I spent my entire paycheck on just to get her that jacket she loved. I remembered when I let her move in with me rent-free for months. I remembered the nights I stayed up talking to her when no one else cared. And what did I get in return? A wish for my death. I wiped my face roughly, angry now, not just at her but at myself. For being blind. For giving too much. For always assuming that love would be returned just because it was given. I realized something sitting there in that cold, dark car. I wasn't her sister to her. I was a convenience. A backup plan. A quiet wallet and emotional sponge she could use whenever it suited her. That was the moment something inside me shifted. I took a deep breath, started the engine, and made the decision that I should have made long ago. No more. I would not be her second option. I would not be the quiet helper in the shadows. I would not be the one holding all the weight in a one-sided relationship. She didn't deserve me. Without looking back at the venue, without checking my phone, I pulled out of the parking spot and started the long drive home. Another 9 hours, but this time it felt longer. Heavier. The snow was still falling, but it didn't matter. The storm inside me was louder now. I drove through the night with a broken heart, but at least I had one thing with me now. A promise to myself that I would never let her hurt me again. When I finally reached home the next morning, I didn't sleep. I didn't change my clothes or unpack. I just sat on the edge of my bed, still wearing my coat, staring at the floor. My phone buzzed a few times. Family members probably sharing pictures or tagging each other in posts from the party. I didn't open any of them. I didn't want to see her face. Not after what I heard. Instead, I opened my contacts. One by one, I started making calls. The first was to the boutique where I had secretly paid for her $1,500 dress. I had told them not to say a word to her about who covered the balance when she came in crying that it was too expensive. I had told them, let her believe it was a discount or part of a special offer. But now I told them to reverse the transaction. If the dress hadn't been picked up yet, hold it. If it had, bill her directly. I wasn't paying another cent. Next was the event venue. I had covered half the cost weeks ago, sending payments in small amounts from different accounts so my name wouldn't appear. Cancel it, I told the manager. I know the event already happened. But don't expect the remaining payment. That's your problem now. Then the bakery, where I had placed the order for her customized cake with gold-dusted flowers and her favorite flavor inside. I told them to cancel the final decoration stages. They sounded confused, but I was calm. Just stop, I said. I contacted the decor team too. The same team that was setting up soft lighting and floral centerpieces, just how she had dreamed. Don't expect full payment, I told them. I was the silent sponsor and now I'm stepping away. Some were understanding, others were annoyed, but I didn't care. Let them be mad. Let her scramble. Let her see what it's like when the person who always shows up suddenly disappears. She didn't deserve the silent support anymore. She didn't deserve anything from me. And for the first time in years I finally stopped giving. A couple of days later, while I was finally trying to rest, my cousin called me. She didn't know what had happened. No one did except me, but her voice was full of gossip and confusion. "Girl, you won't believe the mess that happened at the party after you left," she said. I just listened quietly, pretending I didn't already know. "The cake never showed up," she said first, sounding almost gleeful about the drama. Like, not even a basic one. People waited and waited, and then they finally brought out some grocery store cupcakes. It was embarrassing. I bit the inside of my cheek to stop myself from reacting. That cake alone had cost hundreds. A part of me felt bad for the baker, but not for my sister. Not anymore. "And the decor," she went on. "Half of it was missing. One side of the hall looked fancy and the other looked like a church basement." She giggled, then whispered, "Her fiancé's mom looked so unimpressed." I sat still, soaking it in. Not with joy, but with a sense of quiet justice. Then came the part that hit hardest. Midway through the party, the venue manager actually came up to her with a bill, right in front of everyone. She tried to pull him aside, but people already noticed. She looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her up. He had always been so obsessed with appearances, so focused on making things look perfect like a fairy tale. But I knew the truth beneath it all, and now so did everyone else. She kept stepping away to call someone, my cousin added. "Probably you." She looked so stressed. I checked my phone after the call. 20 missed calls from her. No messages. Just missed calls one after another. But I didn't call back. Not once. Because now she was finally seeing what life looked like without me cleaning up her messes. And I was finally free from the lie that she ever valued me. A week later, she showed up at my apartment. I didn't expect it. I had been avoiding her calls, avoiding her messages, but somehow she had found her way to my doorstep. I heard a soft knock on my door, and before I could even check the peephole, I knew who it was. Her voice, shaky and frantic, came through the door. "Please open up. I need to talk to you," she begged. I stood there for a moment, unsure whether to open it. I felt the urge to just leave her standing there, to turn away and never look back. But there was something in her voice, something that stirred up memories of better days. Maybe she was genuinely concerned. Maybe she was truly sorry. I opened the door. She was standing there, eyes red, makeup smeared, and tears streaming down her face. She looked like she hadn't slept, like she had been carrying the weight of something heavy. I didn't feel sympathy. I didn't feel the need to comfort her. "Why didn't you come?" she asked, her voice weak. "I was worried about you. Are you okay? What happened? Why didn't you show up?" I stared at her for what felt like an eternity. I could see the desperation in her eyes, the vulnerability, but I didn't feel the same way. She had hurt me in a way no one ever had before, and I was done pretending everything was fine. Finally I spoke. My voice was calm, but it cut through the air like a knife. "I did come. I just left when I heard you say you hoped I'd die." Her eyes widened in shock. She opened her mouth to speak, to deny it, to explain herself. But her words faltered as she tried to form a response. She looked like she was about to cry again, but I didn't care. I didn't need her tears anymore. Without saying another word, I closed the door on her, right in the middle of her sentence. I didn't even hear the sound of her footsteps fading away. I didn't care to. That was the last time I saw her. And I knew deep down that it was the best decision I'd ever made. I wasn't her emotional backup anymore. I wasn't going to be used. And as she stood there on the other side of the door, I knew I had made the right choice. The days that followed were filled with silence. The kind of silence that feels suffocating at first, but slowly becomes a space of healing. I gave myself time. Time to process, time to grieve the relationship I had lost, and time to understand that no amount of love or sacrifice would ever make her care in the way I deserved. It took time to accept that the sister I once believed I had didn't exist. That woman had vanished a long time ago, and what was left was someone who was only willing to take from me without ever giving back. I stopped trying to earn people's love. It wasn't easy at first. For years I had given, convinced that if I loved people enough, they would love me back in equal measure. But no matter how much I tried, it was never enough. Not for her. Not for anyone who took advantage of my kindness. I realized that I had been chasing the wrong kind of validation, trying to prove myself, trying to win affection, trying to fit into someone else's vision of what I should be. I was so wrapped up in giving everything I had, that I lost sight of what mattered most. Myself. I needed to stop caring more about others than I cared about my own well-being. So I made a big decision. I shifted cities. I didn't make any big announcements or elaborate goodbyes. I packed my bags, took what I needed, and left. I moved to a place where I didn't have to look over my shoulder at the memories of betrayal. A fresh start. A place where no one knew me as the sister who had always been there for everyone else but was left behind in the end. In this new city, I began to focus on myself. I got a new job, started picking up hobbies I had put aside for years, and most importantly, I learned to say no. No to people who drained me. No to expectations that didn't serve me. No to things that didn't bring me joy. It wasn't always easy, but it felt freeing. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I was living for me. I still believe in family. I still value the bond of blood, the connection that should be unbreakable. But now I protect my heart first. I've learned that not everyone who shares your name deserves the privilege of your trust. And I can't keep pouring from an empty cup just to please people who will never give back. Family is important, but so is self-preservation. Took time, but I found peace in letting go. The scars left by my sister's words will never fade completely, but they no longer control me. I no longer live in the shadow of her selfishness. I live for me now. If you're watching this, just know, I never hated you. I loved you too much. I loved you in a way that was unconditional, selfless, and constant. I loved you through every fight, every disagreement, and every moment where I had to pick up the pieces of your brokenness. I loved you in the way a sister should love. Always there, always ready to support, always willing to give whatever I had. I put you above everything, above myself, because I believed that's what family was. That's what I thought love was supposed to be. But you never understood it. You took my love for granted. And when I finally needed you, when I finally stood there hoping for just a little bit of support, I heard those words. I never expected them. Never thought they'd come from you. I thought I was your sister. I thought we were a team, that we were supposed to have each other's backs no matter what. But when you spoke those words about wishing I'd died in that snowstorm, it shattered me. I've never felt so small, so worthless. It wasn't just the words, it was the meaning behind them. The complete disregard for me as a person, the complete dismissal of everything I had done for you. And that hurt more than any snowstorm could have. I would have taken on the cold, the exhaustion, the endless hours of driving through that storm again and again if it had meant seeing you smile, seeing you happy. But when I heard those words, all of that sacrifice became meaningless. All the times I put my needs aside to make sure you had what you wanted, all the money I spent, all the effort I gave, none of it mattered to you. In that moment, I was nothing but a tool. A tool to be used and discarded when no longer needed. It took me time to understand that I wasn't the problem. You were. And as hard as it was to admit, I had to stop pretending that you cared. I had to stop trying to fix things that were never broken on my end, just broken on yours. And maybe one day when the dust settles and the reality of everything you've lost hits you, you'll understand. Maybe one day you'll realize that I was the one who was always there and I was the one who loved you the most. I hope you find peace. I hope you learn the value of the people who truly care about you, because right now, you seem to have lost the ability to see that. I hope one day you'll know what it feels like to be loved in the way I loved you. And I hope no one ever wishes death on you the way you did to me. Because I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone. But you, in your anger and bitterness, thought it was okay to wish that on me. And I hope you never, ever have to experience that kind of hatred. I loved you too much and I still wish the best for you. But I'm done. I'm done being the person you only called when you needed something. I'm done being invisible. And I'm done letting you break me. Goodbye, sister.